Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we will be diving into functions in Bash. We would be defining, calling and passing arguments. So what are functions? Functions in Bash basically are a block of reusable code which can be called multiple times within a script. Functions allow you to make scripts more modular, readable and maintainable. So how do you define functions? Well, for that, let's just define a function .sh. We would basically import our bin bash. A function can be defined through two formats. So you could basically mention function followed by my underscore function. This is the function name that we would be later on calling, followed by a statement that we would be printing once this specific function has been called. This is one way of setting up your function. So yeah, this is one way. Another way is to define a function like this, where you write the name of the function followed by your parenthesis followed by the curly braces, and here we would basically write in our message. Let's just set this up as function 2, and let's just set this up as function 1 just for sake of clarity. So yeah, once this has been set up, to call your function you would simply go to the end of your file and write the name of your function. Once this particular name has been invoked, it would basically call or invoke this function, and you would basically get your result printed out into the terminal. So let's just try this. We'll write bash function.sh, and here you can see that both our functions basically are able to execute, and we are able to retrieve our echo statements from the terminal. So yeah, as you can see, we can basically define functions through two formats. One would be basically defining the keyword before the name of the function, the name of the function itself, followed by the curly braces and the echo statement or any code that you are trying to modularize. Another methodology basically involves the name of the function followed by the curly parenthesis followed by the curly braces with the code functions. So yeah, let's say we would like to basically set up okay, let's just move towards another example. Let's just define another function called hello.sh. Go into insert mode. We basically bring in bin bash into our script. So let's say we define say underscore hello as the name of the function. We will basically call in echo hello, welcome to the bash functions. Then just say hello. So yeah, here whenever you are trying to invoke your function, you would only write the name of the function itself, and your function itself would be called. So yeah, this is one way of basically setting up your structure for the early stages. However, now we will try to implement arguments into our function so that our functions can basically take these arguments. So yeah, let's just create an argument function. We'll write argument function .sh. Go inside, we go to bin bash. So yeah, we will basically greet our user, and let's just say for the purposes of this we would basically be taking two specific arguments. For that we would basically define something called as a parameter and each of these parameters would basically be representing the arguments which have been passed from the user. So let's say hello followed by the first parameter $1. Let's just say something like this. Let's just call this particular function with the name, let's say Alice, and let's just give an age like I guess 27, something like this, and we will just say argument function.sh, and you can see that we were able to call our function with our arguments, which is the name and the age. Both of these arguments were successfully passed to greet_user function, which basically accepted these values through the parameters $1 and $2. So yeah, that's one way of working with functions. Another way would be to return certain values from functions. So yeah, in order to do so, functions to be able to return values, we would basically implement the return keyword, which would basically print out the output. This can be captured with the use of a command substitution. So let's just clear our workspace, and yeah, let's just set up a new argument, let's say return func.sh, something like this, and let's say for the purposes of this we would basically be passing two numbers as arguments, and we would return the let's say sum or is any mathematical operation to be performed on them. So let's just say something like bin/bash. Let's just set up our function. Let's just say add numbers. We will set up our function, and we will write local sum equal to $. We will take these values into our parameters, and we will just close this, and we will echo out the sum. We will print out this result. Let's just say calling the function and storing the result. Just write result $add _num, and we will write, let's say 10, 20, and we will basically echo out this out like sum followed by $result, something like this. Just say something like this. Okay, let me just see. I see the issue. I accidentally used a wrong variable name. You can see that the variable name is sum, not sun. So just write and quit. So yeah, our function works well. As you can see, we are able to pass two numbers, here it being 10 and 20, and they basically get added up, and you are able to store that result into the sum variable, and we basically print out that result through the echo command. And yeah, so that's how we basically do this, and this result basically gets stored. So let's just see the code here. So you can see that the sum this result which gets printed out is basically passed to the result here, and we basically print out that specific value. So yeah, we can also implement default arguments within functions, which can be used to provide default values for arguments whenever we are using the parameters. So let's just clear our workspace, let's implement vi, and let's just set up let's say default, let's say default val, some naming convention like this, .sh, insert mode, bin/bash. So yeah, here we would basically write the function. So yeah, let's just say greet. Here we would be defining specific, let's say local name, some stuff like this, and we will just set this up as the first parameter having the value, let's say guest. So yeah, what we are trying to do here is that if the user is not providing us with an argument, let's say here we are trying to greet a particular name, let's say hello $name, that name basically having a value which has been passed by the user. If we do not have that particular argument, we would basically print out a specific message with a name called guest, which would be our default argument. So yeah, that's what we are trying to do here. So if we write something like guest, and let's say if no argument, we use guest. So yeah, we can write echo hello $name. So we write greet, let's say I don't know, XYZ, else we call greet without an argument, we will basically get the guest. So yeah, this is how it would typically look like. So we'll write something like this, and once you hit, you can see that, oh, I see some issues in there. You just see, I see, I forgot, you should always set these up within curly braces. So yeah, let's just write quit. So you can see that here, once we did not pass our argument, which is we did not give a proper name, our default value guest took the place value into name, and we were able to basically return or print out hello guest. So yeah, we can also utilize functions in a script in a way that we can basically work within our working directory. Let's say we want to basically display the user info. So we will basically, let's say, call in a function called show info, or when we want to perform the sum of two numbers, we can do that also. So we can define multiple functions within the same kind of a script, so that's possible as well. So let's just clear our workspace. We will create vi multifunction .sh into insert mode. We would basically write show underscore info. Let's just say this is the function that would echo out the current user. Say who am I, and we will echo out current directory. And we will write present working directory. And the another function which would basically, let's say, it will give us the product of two numbers. We will write echo, say product, now we call the functions over here. So we'll write something like show underscore info, and let's just say product underscore numbers, and let's just pass the values, let's say 15 and 25. So yeah, that's how you do this, and we basically write bash multifunction.sh, and you can see that we are basically returning the current user as well as the current present working directory, as well as we are able to pass the product of two numbers. So yeah, this is a tutorial that basically defines calls as well as allows you to pass arguments in bash functions. Let's try to extend this to more examples with advanced concepts. So let's just try to implement a real world application. So yeah, in functions in Linux, we have a special ability to modify variables to have global or local scopes. A global variable is a variable which basically has its value available throughout the script, else when we define a local variable, it remains limited to the function scope itself, so it basically becomes a local variable. So to demo this, let's just build a local global, and always remember, whenever you use these naming conventions, try not to use reserved keywords, because it's not a good idea. Let's just implement in bash, and yeah, let's just say the global name would be something like, I don't know, ABC. So this is our global variable. While let's change the name, so literally let's just define change underscore name function, which would basically define a local variable or call name itself. Despite the name being let's say, despite the variable name being the same, we basically have the ability to use the local keyword to specify that this is a local variable. So inside this function, whenever you call this function, the value of name would always be John. And yeah, let's just try to print out the value. Let's say inside function, that's $name. Let's just echo the value before function call as $name, and let's just call in the function change underscore name, and let's just say we will try to double check after the function call what's the value of our $name variable. So yeah, that's pretty much how this works. So let's just try to execute this as local global.sh. You can see that when we are outside the function, the value within the variable name will be defined by the global variable ABC. So therefore it will have the value ABC, while when we call the function change underscore name, the local name value becomes XYZ. This is because the scope of this same variable becomes limited to XYZ within this specific function. However, when you are outside the function, the name will retreat back to the global value, which is ABC. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. So the name equal to ABC, which we have defined here, becomes accessible globally, while the local name here is only accessible as a local variable. This is despite the fact that the name variable name itself remains unchanged throughout the entire code base. So yeah, we can also basically return exit status with the help of return. So exit status basically can be used as a alternative for printing out a specific value. Let's say instead of writing echo, you can use return. So to make it more clear, let's just try to clear our workspace. Let's just define, let's say, exit status, press H to insert mode, bin/bash. Let's just say we basically define a function which checks if a particular value is even or odd. We would write it as like this. Structure basically looks like this. Let's say if $1, just say $1, if the remainder of the value contained within $1 is equal to 0, then we will write return 0, success. So yeah, here 0 means it's true in bash, else we will return 1, which is, let's say, failure, i.e. it is a non-zero value, which means false. So yeah, let's go close our structure. Let's define the number as equal to 4. If we write is even, we call is even function with the number, and let's just say if dollar then we will basically write echo $num is even, and we'll else, let's just say echo $num is odd, and let's just close this and let's just move on to the execution aspect. So let's just exit status as such. So yeah, here you can see that the number that we defined as 4 basically is even. So what actually has happened here is that the function basically checks if the number is even and basically returns 0 if it is true. Here we basically take that value and we equate it to our condition over here, whether if it is 0, then we basically print out the value, this message that the number is even, and all these values are basically stored as an exit status which is defined within this specific structure, and it is used in conditional checking. So yeah, we can also change this in a way to basically use, let's say, with the help of looping structures. So yeah, let's just try that. Okay, oh sorry, I'm within the terminal. Yeah, let's just say we use functions and loops. Function loops.sh. Let's just open this in VI, and yeah, so let's just say we basically would print a bunch of names along with the hello statement. So we will write print underscore names. This is our function. We will basically write for name, and let's say here the values basically are going to be stored into this special character called the @ symbol. We basically do this particular action of printing out the statement hello $name. Let's just give this as, and then we will close this, and then we will write print underscore names name, and we will give the bunch of, let's say, arbitrary data. So here it would be ABC, let's say C, I don't know, DEF, and let's say XYZ. So yeah, so here what we get is that we are basically passing a bunch of random data. Okay, I made a spelling mistake. Let's change it to bash, and you can see that we have successfully executed our list of names with the help of a function as we loop through them one by one. Here, if you are still confused about function loop.search, you can see here that we have used $@. This is something that we define whenever we are interested in passing multiple arguments. So here the function would loop through each argument and print out the greeting. We can also implement a structure whereby which one function basically calls another function, and yeah, so let's try to implement something simple. Let's say we would like to basically display a message which basically is performed by calling a function, and that function basically calls another function which would basically give us back the date, date and time, or let's simply put a time. So let's just say vi time .sh, we will go into insert mode. Alright, something like this. Let's define the get underscore time function first, and let's just say echo current time will give us as date plus t, and we will write display underscore message structure like this. Let's write echo hello world, and yeah, let's not forget to call our function, and yeah, let's just define our primary function which would call the secondary function. So yeah, this is how you basically implement a structure which would call one function within another function. So yeah, you can see that we basically get hello world followed by the current time. Let's just try to implement a system which would automatically update all our system packages. So like we can write, let's say vi update system .sh. Let's go into insert mode. Let's write bin/bash. Let's write update so system. Alright, echo update the system packages. Let's write sudo apt update, and we will call in sudo apt upgrade. Let's write echo system something like this, and we will write, obviously call the function at the end. So yeah, let's just write bash update system.sh and hit enter. Yeah, and there you are. Yeah, so here you can see that our function basically has executed sudo apt update as well as sudo apt upgrade once we have hit or executed our specific script. And you can do this in n number of ways. Let's say you would like to automate processes related to, let's say, backing up important files with certain details or such as, let's say, timestamps, and that can also be done. So yeah, let's just try to do that once this process is completed. So yeah, we are back. Our process of updatation is completed, and as I just previously mentioned, we will now try to create a script which will back up important files. Let's say backup function, something like this, and we will basically import our bin bash. Yeah, let's just say we create a function called backup underscore files. So the idea here is that we would basically pass two arguments. Both of the arguments would be the files or the folder which we want to get compressed into a particular zip file or a tar file with a timestamp. So yeah, we would basically, let's say, give out this specific location on my directory. Let's say I want to make a backup file for the documents, and all that tar or zip file will get stored into backup, into this specific folder. So yeah, with that in mind, we will basically take these values or arguments into our parameters, $1 and $2, which would basically be stored into these two specific variables, which are the source and the destination. We would like to get a timestamp, let's just say, and that data we basically grab it with the help of the date function. So we'll write date, and we would basically write it in let's say YYMMTD format along with the hour, minute and the second. So for that you would basically write %y, %m, %d underscore, and we will write the hour h, %m and %s. So here we would basically get the date in a year, month, date, hour, minute and second format, and let's just write it into a tar file with the help of our compression command, which is the tar -czf. Here we are compressing the files into the destination. So here we will write destination -backup. We will basically give this specific name, timestamp, and let's just say .tar.gz, and we would basically pass the source. So yeah, and let's also give out a message. Let's just say echo. Okay, let's just put some space. Backup. Let's say the backup of the source files are complete. Let's say echo stored at, let's just give out yeah, the destination. Let's say $destination / backup underscore followed by the timestamp. So yeah, this is pretty much it. So let's just say bash backup function.sh. Let me try that again. I think we didn't save out. Okay, we have the file, but okay, let me go back. I see the issue. Yeah, the file which I am trying to back up is not in the current location. Let me grab that data real quick. Let's just go back over here. Okay, let me do something different. Instead of doing this, let me just get hold of our current present working directory. We would like to basically get hold of all the, yeah, let's just make a backup of this specific. Okay, one more detail I wanted to mention. You can't just randomly do this. We will have to basically move our backup.sh function to, okay, let's just give out the entire path. Yeah, we'll just paste our selection here. Let's just go take it level up, cd-c, yeah, nls, and you will see that our backup function is here. Okay, sorry, just wrong file. To backup function.sh, go to insert mode. Yeah, so let's just say we basically shift the gear and make a backup of all the files that we have written till now into this specific location. Yeah, so let's just create back quit. Let's just say bash search. Okay, this is okay. Let me just write bash. So yeah guys, the function worked. The issue was that instead of writing backup files, I wrote it as backup file. Yeah, silly of me. Yeah, so that's pretty much how you basically work with this function, and you can see that in our let's go into cat and let's just try to review our code. Let's just go to our backup function.sh. As you can see, we have successfully performed the process of getting hold of our folder, which is cron, and we have basically compressed all the contents of that particular folder into our tar file and stored it at home kali bash location. So yeah, that's pretty much the way you do this, and you can see how you could do more in with the help of functions. I hope you learned something, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.